Mic check, 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 check. Justin Hunt. Here's my conversation with Murs and Slug and Ant from Atomosphere. New project out now, Felt For You. It's all happening.
Word up, man. This is, I honestly, I think this is the first time I've ever interviewed you, Slug, and Ant. I don't think we've ever actually sat down for a conversation. I know I've been to Soundset, incredible experience in Minnesota, but it's an honor to be able to talk to you guys and to talk about the new Felt project.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for inviting me.
It's an honor to be here, dude.
Word up. And Murs, I talk to you all the time, man, so it's good to see you again. So this is a surprise for your audience. How'd you guys set up the rollout to this project, and why is it, sort of spontaneous?
Yeah, I think we had approached it and backed away from it, and I don't know, I feel like most things in my life, it had to do with my wife talking to his wife, wanting to hang out.
That's what's up.
It was something that stayed on the table because it seemed like other people kept it on the table without even our approval. It was like it's a constant when people are like, when are you gonna make another Felt? When are you gonna make another Felt? When are you gonna make another Felt? And so it was just a matter of when the time finally lined up. And like you said, our wives are friends, and so therefore there's the excuse to just get everybody to hang out together while me and him sneak off and go rap over some of Ant's beats. You know what I'm saying? So it finally happened, man. We finally got the stars to line up and the timing to be correct and the desire to be creative.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, it's called Felt For You. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What happened? Felt For You. Yeah. What happened to the naming convention? There was a whole bunch of people. I was partly wondering if it was going to be a tribute to Spider-Man's girlfriend or something like that, or Zendaya or something like that. What happened with the naming convention for this one?
I mean, from my perspective, I felt like, the constant question, when are you going to make another one, was still a part of the main inspiration. So I was like, for me, dedicating it to just the person that wants to hear it. You know what I'm saying? It's like dedicating it to the person that wants to listen to this. Felt like it made the most sense, especially once we started fleshing out the material. I mean, some of the past records were a little bit more playerific, and this one is different. You know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like, oh, something's different here. And I think what's different is everybody's old.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, anybody can speak out and shut me off. You know what I'm saying? But and so to me, it just made sense.
Yeah. I don't know if it just felt like it was done. That idea, that concept was done. It was 20 years ago now. And I forgot to say at the point, like, people, since Ann is here, like, we had approached Felt For with other producers before, and then it just didn't, like the seed didn't take root. We had been sending beats to each other for years, and like, oh, let's let's just, and it just never. And then when this man, I think he made the crowd favorite Felt record anyway. And for me, it was always, the Felt 2 was kind of like, especially like Dirty Girl was like me sneaking into the group, into one of my favorite groups, you know what I mean? Because Dirty Girl is like an Atmosphere song. I got to be on it, and we've never really featured on each other's albums until recently.
Yeah.
So I don't get a chance to really rap with my friend over my other friend's beats, and just two artists that I respect immensely. And I've known long enough where I think they're not afraid to be critical and honest about my music. So I actually grow from working with them, or just hanging out with them. I grow, when their tour bus pulls up and we're at Long Beach or wherever, and we hang out for the night, like, I always leave like enriched. But Felt, I always, fucking with Sean, I always grow. But with both of them on my neck, it's a different level up.
How would you describe it, Ant?
Well, it's for me, with them two, obviously me and Sean do stuff all the time. So for me, adding Murs just gives it a whole nother life, and it brings out things in Sean that in some ways are shut off from the atmosphere a lot of times. And that's, you know, not necessarily just playful either. It's just a little maybe straightforward or something. I don't know. But me personally, with my music part, it definitely just lets me explore my first love of the 80s R&B sound. Now, you might not hear that in this record or felt to, but I hear it plain as day. So that's kind of like my thing with that. And that's what I think when I think of Slug and Murs together. I think of that sound, that like Minneapolis sound of the early 80s. That I can't help. That's just what I see with those two guys together. Separately is a whole nother ball of game, whole nother thing, you know. So technically, I've been holding on to pieces of music for these two to get together for 5, 6, 7 years, more or less. They didn't use any of that shit, but
You didn't use any of those?
no, I mean a couple.
Hey, but you know, you guys won't even let me wear cargo shorts on stage. So listen, I'm just chilling. I'm like,
So, you know, we're in a different space now, obviously. You know, touring isn't the same now. Shows aren't the same now. It felt like you described it feeling like the right time to put this project out. Have you thought about how you're going to make sure the world hears it, or do you think about how to promote the album in a different way now?
I mean, you know, quiet as kept, we did have a rollout planned for this. And we even had a tour planned for August, for the month of August. And this is the weekend that this record was supposed to always come out. It's just that, you know, when everybody got locked into their homes, it's like, well, the tour ain't gonna happen. What do we want to do with the music now? And instead of trying to do like some kind of a rollout that was we had just done a record with Atmosphere where we did just kind of a surprise drop, and for all purposes it was a very comfortable way to drop an album. You know what I'm saying? It was like there wasn't a lot of anxiety or, you know, you got to do and jump through a lot of different, you know, there's a different frame with the work where it's just kind of dropping the record meant that I could play with my kids all summer and not have to run around and do things and prepare and get ready and hit the road and all that stuff, you know. And so I liked what we just did. I like putting the record out like this. And also, if people don't know it's coming, they have an opportunity to just create their attachment to it based on what happened right there when they listen to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like oftentimes with the rollout, there's so much more attached to it. There's photos and there's a video and there's a story and there's all these things that help to frame the album for the listener for that very first listen. Whereas without all that stuff, the album is just the album. And I like that. I learned that I like that from the last record that Anthony and I dropped, you know. Now that's not always in the best interest of the label. I get it. And maybe not even with the artist, but in this moment, the difference between the rollout or non-rollout, it wasn't going to be, you know, it's like, I feel like, and also, you know, I feel like right now people could use some music that's fun. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know how to say it, because I'm not saying there's not a lot of fun music out there, but I'm just not having a lot of fun right now, man. I could use this right now, man. I want to have some fun. I want to dance. Like, as soon as we get done with this, I'm going to turn this album up, straight up, and I'm going to learn a new dance right here in this basement. Man, you got that? Wait, what did you just say about the Dougie?
My mom told me to tell you that this the first single, or not, it's not even, the song's not even on the album, but she told me to tell you, Ant, that the beat made her want to dance.
Oh yeah, that joint.
That's something that a black woman from the 70s would say, like it was jamming or it made her want to groove.
Right.
I forget some adjective.
See, my dreams are come true. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just noticed that too. I mean, that's a good point. That the single that came out earlier this week, I didn't notice it on the playlist at all either.
Yeah, we were supposed to tour this record, and that was supposed to be, when we announced the tour, we weren't going to announce the album. We were just going to drop the song and say we made a song because we're going on tour. This album was done, was it June?
July? This album, we recorded it in June of am
20.
I allowed to say it? Am I allowed to admit all that? Yeah, we recorded it in June of 2019. Here in Minneapolis. We recorded, we wrote and recorded in this room right here. Yeah, we wrote and recorded in here. And what was the question?
No, the leaked single this week's not even on the album.
Oh yeah. Okay, so and then we were gonna announce the tour, and with the tour announcement, like I don't know, it was like May, we were gonna announce the tour and drop this song. And the tour was an Atmosphere tour with Murs on it, but because people didn't know we had new Felt music. So it was going to be this thing where we went out as if it was Atmosphere and Murs co-rocking this tour, and then Felt comes out, the song with the announcement to make people like, oh, that's cool. They made a song for the tour announcement. And then when the record comes out and the tour starts, then it was kind of like, oh, this is going to be fun because people were not expecting a new Felt record to go along with this tour. And now we're doing some new songs and Dirty Girl and, you know, Early Morning Tony. Like it just, in our brains prior to, you know, it was an amazing experience for us. We had a great thing going on as far as how much fun we were going to have with the whole thing, you know. And again, we all had to go inside our homes. And so with all of that kind of stuff not being on the table anymore, not only did we want to use the song still as kind of like here's a cool little thing, an Easter egg, what have you. It's going to live. It's got its own life, but it's not part of the album because it's not on the vinyl. So it's just the mindset of having this, like, it's almost like you drop the B-side first and then you drop the album. You know, I guess you would never have done that in 1988 because that would not have been the best use of your resources. But right now, why not? You know what I'm saying? It's like, why not have this? And the song is dope. Like I heard that song immediately and was like, oh man, this is like, and forgive me for saying this, but I'm just gonna, you know, this is like nothing but a G thing for me, but at night. And that's the only way I could see that song, like in Murs and Aaron, both like, yeah, this shit's banging, let's go. And I was like, cool. And so we tried to make a song that it's a house party, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine the backdrop was like, you know, after the G thing video was over being recorded, you know, and people were still hanging out at the house. This was the video for that, you know. And I realized that I have that's my imagination, and I take the blame for the flaw of that visual.
It's a great video either way. I'm a fan of Nothing But G Thing.
Yeah. And the one that's in my head too, the nighttime version of it, cracking, man. Like but it's a fun song. Yeah. What do you think? Should we have put it on the album?
I think the album sounds pretty cohesive, to be honest with you. I've only listened to it maybe 3 times straight through.
I have only listened to it like 3 times straight through, and I've been sitting on the album for like a year.
Man. Yeah, I rock with it, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. You know, I always think about how artists find ways to have new and interesting things to say as they continue to progress through life and mature as a person, while still being able to hold on to their audience. And I think Atmosphere and I think Murs, you guys are both great examples of that. Have you ever run into any challenges from just a natural standpoint, how to evolve as a person and an artist and still make music that you're proud of that can also resonate with your audience?
Oh man, I get nervous about it. I think because I know we all on this call like study, like you, Justin, we study it. So like recently, or like even the Bo Berletta song, or the song I just put out versus Everybody on my Patreon EP. I get nervous about doing songs about marriage because I don't, you know, and no offense to anyone out there, I admire all the artists who try, but it's hard to do it. It's hard to do a song about your child and not be corny. It's hard to grow up in hip hop because so many people shoot that shot, and to me, it fails. You know, I look back at stuff I write about my wife and kids, and I'm like, you know what I mean? But it's also because I didn't grow up hearing about that shit. Like, you know, when I met E40 and DJ Quick and found out like they were married and great dads, it blew my fucking mind. And I'll be like, yo, y'all could have gave me some bars about this too, you know, like I learned so much about being a man from those 2 artists. You know, they're 2 of my favorite artists, you know. Sidebar, I still want to get Ant in a room with DJ Quick. That's still my goal in life. So if Quick, you're watching this, you know what I'm saying? Come fuck with us.
Yeah, man.
But that was like, you know, that blew my mind. So when I do it, I'm still like, I just told to my son, like, Sean has a great one and Exhibit has a great one. You know what I mean? And that's it. You know what I mean? A lot of people shot that shot, you know? Ed OG, be a father to your child. I never forget. I was 11, 12. I was like, I don't want to hear this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it was heartfelt from him. And I remember they even had like the lady translated in sign language in the video.
Yeah.
I understood it as a moment for a Black man, like especially in hip hop, you know, but it didn't resonate with me because I didn't have a child. And now that I have a child, I was like, oh, I get what Ed OG was trying to do. But I'm like, is there a way to do it where it still slaps, where it's still like a bop? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I'm with you on that. It's tough. It's tough to do. You know. Yeah. I've dealt with many artists that have struggled with this kind of thing, and it's too bad, but it is what it is, you know. And just got to work through it and just try to figure out how to be proud of it. You know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think that hip hop is old enough now and still viable that it's only inevitable that you're going to get more diverse opinions that go farther, or perspectives that go farther. I mean, it's one thing when you have a whole genre that started with a bunch of kids or young adults, you know, partying, and there's nothing really older than that. Like, they're the oldest ones in your genre, but we're 44 years outside of when hip hop was created, you know? And so it'd be weird to me, now that I think about it, that I don't hear more diversity in terms of what life is like for people who are into hip hop in general.
Yeah, I think Sean called me. We were talking about, like, he was doing something with dad rap or something, and I had been hashtagging American dad ass. Like, I think that's where we come from. Like, Sean could have, I know a lot of rappers from the Midwest that didn't say they were from the Midwest back in the 90s. You know what I mean? Relocated and became transplants and took on a New York persona or took on an LA persona. But they didn't rep like, oh, I'm really from here, you know? So I think he's been on one, you know, emo rap is something that like he coined and just stepped into, you know what I mean? Backpack rap is just like, I don't run away from what I am. So when I became a father, there was no way for me, you know, I was talking about comic books and skateboarding. I just was always, I never closed the door anyway. So I think maybe that's how I keep my fans along, like, because they know, you know, it's just they can see the evolution. They've been part of it. But you can't run from who you are. I'm just never been the artist that has an image. Like, there's artists who create an image and they're creating, that's how they're more sculptors. Like, I'm a, you know, I just let it, I guess, flow. It's a bad term.
Trees is probably, Trees is the song so far that I've rewound the most, that I've replayed the most. And I just think it's a fun song. I think there's a lot of funny stuff in it. I think it's funny thinking about young Murs with a Jerry curl. You know, I think that, I just think it's just a great record. And I think it taps into some of the house party type vibes that you guys describe on this project. For people who haven't heard this yet and may not be familiar with previous Felt projects, what should people know about the group, and what do you want them to take away from this project, if there's anything deeper than just, you know, the party vibes of it?
Man,
I was not prepared.
Go ahead. You want to go?
I mean, for me, you know, it's a weird question to answer, just because my relationship to this music and just to the music that I make is not the same as the relationship that anybody else could possibly have. But I do my best to try to share what my relationship is with it. And for this project in specific, it's the relationship that I have with Murs that has always really drawn me to making these records. It's definitely the main influence or inspiration. And so to also be able to do that with Anthony as well, it's a very similar thing, because now my relationship with Anthony is coming into it, and Murs' relationship with Anthony comes into it, and this is the creation of that, you know. And so when you hear the topics that we're rapping about, or even the music we're choosing, or even the things that Anthony's choosing to do, like all of those things are just all of us bringing our personalities together. So it's almost like a conversation that the three of us are having here in this moment. These are the topics that we happen to talk about. You know, it's a little bit all over the place, but that kind of is how we operate a little bit, you know, especially so you bring I don't know if I'm actually answering the question you asked, but I guess I interpret the question as saying, you know, what's the point? What are you trying to do? You know, and I'm just trying to present and show off what that relationship is, from a musical space, you know, because I feel like people hear that. People hear the friendship. They hear, you might even hear the things that we all might disagree on. And I feel like they can hear it when me and Anthony work together. So having me, Murs, and Anthony all in one space is from a personal level, just speaking solely for myself, it's a form of hanging out with my friends. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and even the results are a form of that. You know, and I don't really get to do that a lot in the real world as it is, especially not right now. But even prior to this, you know, I've been practicing social distancing for a long time, you know, and this is what hanging out with my friends looks like, sounds like. This is what it feels like.
So,
And
for me to even try to describe to anybody, you know, listening that doesn't already follow some of the stuff we all do already, it's impossible for me to do, and it just probably might be worth a listen to, just check it out or whatever, and it's an enjoyable ride.
yeah.
But when it comes to me, I'm saying that you know, first and foremost, I wasn't even sure I should do this record, only because of me and Sean do so much stuff together. I don't want to put, you know, I don't want to put a strain on what we do, and I don't want to put a bad influence on Murs. I get nervous about shit like that, but I love doing this shit. And actually, I was barely in the room for this project, so it was kind of funny, but I kind of didn't. It just wrote itself. It was kind of easy, you know. It's not. These guys are way beyond. Like when we did something 15 years ago, I felt like I had to be in the room. I had to be in the studio with these guys a little bit more back then, you know, for multiple reasons. That's not the case now. You know, these guys are, they're on a whole nother plane than back then. So I'm just kind of like, and literally the instrumental, you know, guy, you know, so I don't know.
Don't sell yourself short, because you would come over every night to see what we had to show and listen to it. And I watched you, you know what I mean? I still watch the way you look. I can see what he don't like that, or he likes that. And all of that is in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I think what you're saying is nice. I think what you're saying is you didn't have to like make sure we weren't like going past the bar, or make sure we weren't doing the technical bullshit. You know, we got that part down, but you were definitely like, you know, we would play some shit for you, and we could tell right away whether that was something we should continue going after or not.
Yeah, that is true.
And so he would show up every day and see what we did the day before, and also maybe what we had done that day, because we get together every day. Like basically after all the families had breakfast, we'd get together and start working, and we'd eat grapes and make sandwiches, you know, drink kombucha, whatever. I don't know, man. It went by real fast. I think we did it all in like a week.
Wow.
Maybe a week and a day, or was it 6 days or something?
It might have been 10 days. I don't know. I don't remember.
And yeah, okay. So it was a little over a week.
Airbnb receipt.
It was definitely fast.
That sounds really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both come from a school where we write fast. And
also, when you write with another person too, you got somebody else to carry half the weight of what this is. And that really, it does a lot, because it's not just half the weight of the rhymes, but it's also half the weight of the direction, half the weight. There's a lot going on there. You know what I'm saying? And it's half of it. So you can just talk about things and come up with it. And sometimes, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. You know, that helps a lot. That's a good thing to have.
You're not in your head.
Yeah.
I think we have, you know, like like our lives are so entwined. Like there's nothing that I'm afraid to say in front of him. And for me, like every time we do a record, I grow. And he always, like, first Felt record, he taught me how to count bars. I had no idea how to fucking count bars. You know what I mean? And he we started writing the beats from Grouch, and he was like, yo, you do this many bars. I was like, what's that? You know what I mean?
You know, nobody knows this except me and maybe Grouch, and probably Murs knows this. It's ingrained in him, but he may have never heard me say this before. But that's what Hot Bars was. The song Hot Bars was a bar count game where it was like, all right, do this many bars, go, and then he'd go, yeah, I remember that. But that's what it was, man. We were spitting bars. It was bars. It was like it wasn't really about structure. It wasn't about, you know, it was a different time too. That was like the year 2000 or 2001, because that came out in I think 2002, and I think it took a minute to even get it out. Where you just wanted to be heard, you just wanted to rap, you just wanted people, hey, check me out, I'm rapping, you know, and then people start going, oh, you're rapping, and then you're like, yeah, okay, and now I'm writing songs too. You're writing songs too. Before you know it, you get to a space where I'm basically creating exercises in my basement. I'm like, oh, can I do this? Let me try that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's a crazy thing. And so to know that we came from this place where it's like, nah, all you had to do was rap. You didn't even have to count bars. Just go. Like,
yeah, that was
that was a different time, you know, but that speaks to that. What you're saying right there speaks to that. That song specifically and that album speaks to the fact that you were already known. People knew who you were. You were touring, you were going around the world, but you weren't counting bars.
Nah.
Like I'm saying, the fact that you could do all that and not even be counting bars yet. I love it. I love it. I love it, man.
Number two is like when we came to LA. What's that hotel we were staying at? We like one of those.
Oh yeah, the one over right just below Sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah, by House of Blues. Yeah.
Ran into fucking Busta Rhymes. With cigarettes.
Oh yeah, him and us. What was it?
Star.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that was a time, dude.
Ant was like, yeah, he was in all the writing sessions. Like a lot of producers will play the beat and smoke weed, and like he'll be like, "What you got?" And then I remember
he brought a 4-track, and we were writing it and recording 4-track in the hotel. And I remember we were getting calls like, "Yo, you're being too loud." And it's like, come on, man, we're not even really tripping. Like we had neighbors louder than us. You know what I'm saying? It's like
it was a Hollywood ass hotel.
Yeah, man, that shit.
Then we went back to Minneapolis to Sean's old apartment, and I can still remember, I think it was Marvin Gaye, and he was like, I had a line with reference Stevie Wonder, Ribbon in the Sky. He was like, you're saying too many words. Like Antwood, I remember, I can feel like he was like, what's that scene in Baby Boy where he like they line them all up and they have to punch him in the and be like, say your rhymes. I felt like it was that moment, like, all right, cuz, like I gotta. Then I said it, and he was like, "That has too many bars." I was like, "Well, it's a reference to Stevie Wonder." He's like, "Oh shit," because Stevie Wonder is the only musical genius because he can make you know the feeling of what it's like to be in love, and he's never physically seen a woman. And I was like, "Oh shit!" He's like, people throw around the term genius. He's like, "I don't know about Einstein. I don't know about." He's like, Stevie Wonder. If you know what love feels like, and you've never seen a beautiful woman, but you can make me have that feeling, and I was like. So he's a deep ass dude. So when I hit on the Stevie Wonder thing, he's like, all right, you can get away with like rushing those bars. Usually he's like, you gotta lose a word, bro. You gotta. And so
that's an insightful description of Stevie Wonder, though. I've never made that connection either.
I forgot about that. Yeah, but that's real. Sounds like. Yeah.
But I feel like Ant, and that's why I like Ant, Shock G, DJ Quick are like people I know that to me are geniuses. Like, you know, and Ant would sit there and be like, okay, no, go back. And so that taught me taking words and using negative space from Sean. Like we came up with this thing called the boom, and he'd be like, let it breathe. You know, like, but then Cam years later was like, take a couple bars off, let just live. Like that whole thing that came that bop wasn't natural to me. I'm a very anxious person. So my words were really, and I'm still ahead of the beat, but fucking with these two, like I kind of got. And then 3 was like, we were kind of on our own with Ian, and it was just a funner thing. You know, for me, I was on Warner Brothers. It was like me reconnecting with my friends and just playing with my voice. And this one, like, I don't know if you've never heard it. For me, like, that's why I think the G thing reference is apt, because this is my audition to write Detox. You know what I mean? I'm trying to like use my deep voice, and like I've wanted Dre to be able to say almost every verse on this record. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Oh man, that's so good.
because I said,
How long you been sitting on that one, man?
no, it's from the conversation we had, bro.
I know, I love it. I know, I know.
Every rap you say is through the lens of something. Like and I forget what your lens was. He's like, but what are you? He's like, my whole career is me trying to do this, and like, I like my point of view, like, even though I don't look like it, like, is, and for me, it'll get deeper hopefully as I break myself down. But right now, like, everything I write is through the lens of a gangster, from, you know, more specifically, like through a crip like lens. You know what I mean? Even my skateboarding, everything comes from, like, that was the first foundation of how I saw the world from my neighborhood. You know what I mean? And for some reason, when I get with Ant, like songs like Morris Day come out, or like these, because I think he has like a gangster like vibe, like gangster ass anthem, like it does. And that's where like the Dre thing came through. I was like, yo, like I just feel like it just made, and I could tell my stories. And I'm not talking tough shit because that's not me, you know what I mean? But it's through the lens of gang culture, because that's how I shoot off. You know what I mean? Like that's where I was formed, and I had all kind of experience. And Sean is a part of broadening that scope for me. But it never ceased to come from the origin. You know what I mean? Which is, you know, Linwood, California, like where I fell in love with hip hop. You know what I mean? And I moved to Mid City. I moved around, but gang culture has been a part of who I am as a human, and hip hop is next. So he's shown me like punk rock and the Strokes and like Queens of the Stone Age, like anything that I have that is not 80s R&B or hip hop came from this dude, from Sean, you know?
Yeah, don't blame me for that shit, man.
That's a weighty compliment. That's a weighty compliment.
Yeah, man, don't blame me for that shit, man.
But yes, this album is like friends hanging out. To me, like what he said, like it's like he took my son fishing for the first time. You know what I mean? Like during the making of this album. So that's in there. You're not gonna hear it specifically, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's in there. You know, we were having conversations, vaccinating children, which is a hot topic. You know, we had that conversation, you know what I mean? There's no songs about it, you know what I mean? But that's in there.
It's in there. It's in there though. I can hear it. You know, maybe not the actual direct referencing, but I hear exactly what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting too, because it'll come out of songs that you don't even necessarily expect it to. Like on this album in specific, there's a song in there called, I think it's called Through the Night, right? And even the voice that I'm using on that song is closer to the type of voice that I might hit, the register that I hit when I'm talking to Murs about something that's got us both getting kind of hyped up. You know what I mean? It's like there's certain things that I hear on there that I don't even hear in my own records, because right now I'm working with this person. It's a collaborative with somebody that, you know, I don't always get to collaborate with. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, that's apt. I don't even say the word apt. Like that's a good word, apt.
Help me out with the song Hologram. I listened to that one a bunch of times in a row too. I think the Grouch kills it. I think both of you guys sound great. That A$AP Rock verse is relentless. How did you guys, I mean, did you guys just hit them up, tell them to send verses in? And what's that song touching on?
That song is about, I guess it's kind of a thing where you're projecting outward right now. Like oftentimes we take the projections that are being put upon us and we work within them. We talk about them and we deal with them. But this was one, I think, where all four of us was able to really kind of project outward. I don't know that I would say that that was what we were going for. I just think that that's what happened. As far as getting them on the track, you know, Grouch produced the first one and A$AP produced the third one. So it was kind of like a cute thing to do. You know, it was almost kind of kitschy, but not, because everybody's dope. You know what I'm saying? But the point of doing it was kind of like, well, yeah, look here, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? And that beat was so aggressive that it felt like we could all really get and find our space in that without too much trouble. And I don't know, man, we weren't able to have them come here to record. So yeah, they sent their verses here. But when we would get the verses, it was like, because we you know, the song was completed first, and it was like, hey, let's reach out to them to get verses to put on here, because we didn't know beforehand. It was more like, oh, that one, okay. Oh, and you know what we should do with that? Oh, we should reach out to them and da da da. You know what I mean? So it's like when their verses came back, it was like opening up an Easter egg or something to see what was inside of it. You know what I'm saying? You crack it open and you check it and you're just like, oh, you know, it was more excitement for the project. You know, it added to the project. It comes off like a posse cut, and that's because of the aggressiveness, and that's also because it's kind of abstract. We were all able to just kind of go for what we know and do our own thing. You know what I mean? But I do think that there's a cohesiveness there that's more than just the fact that we all know each other personally, but also I think the beat and hearing whoever they got to hear be the first person rapping, but and then they hear them, and then they say, okay, well, what am I gonna do on this? And then they, you know, it just continued to carry the torch of the song.
Yeah. I want to ask you, forgive me, I can't think of which song this is in, but there's a reference, you're talking, this is you, Slug, you were talking about your wife, talking about how you guys would fight before you have sex and she falls asleep on your neck, and then now you got to take your kids everywhere. And now you got to take your kids to school, and now school and kids, and you get kind of distracted. You know, one, what do your kids think about your music? You know, are they fans, or are they like most kids, or anything that comes from their parents is a little less cool?
I think that, well, it depends, because I have an older son who is over it. Like he you know, I think, and I don't mean over it, like probably proud of me if you ask him and get deep into it, you know what I'm saying? But it's not something that we like talk about. You know, we're not like, Dad, what was tour like? You know, it's like, nah, we talk about regular, real life kind of things. You know, the younger ones, they still see me as like a extension of the Marvel universe regardless anyway. So the fact that I do this for a living as well, I think is just kind of, it's fun to them. But like one of them's already old enough to like have his own taste in music, and his dad, he likes his dad's rapping. I'm probably his favorite rapper, but I'm not gonna ask him, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be like, yo, so what's good, who's your favorite rapper? Him, you know what I mean? Like, why? You know, like, I'm cool, like I'm cool just thinking I'm like Iron Man's cousin or some shit, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm cool, like, you know. And then the really young one, I don't even know if he's put it together that I'm necessarily a rapper. He probably just thinks that everybody my age does this because my dad does this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. But it's a crazy question, because I want to be able to give you like a real answer. But the truth is, I don't know, because I guess I'm just too insecure. If I ask them, what do you think of my rapping? And one of them is kind of like, dog, your bars were better back in 1998. I'll probably cry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to go there with my kids. Like, I got the internet to make me feel bad.
That's funny. Yeah, the internet is undefeated at making you feel bad. That's true. I have two questions. These next two questions are about previous songs, one from each of you. And Bigger Than Guns, Bigger Than Cigarettes. I had no idea that song was going to be living with me this long, my entire life. And I just think that, you know, the concept of being bigger than guns, being bigger than cigarettes, at that point in time, when I first heard that, I actually had a hard time thinking about other stuff was bigger than guns and cigarettes. It was just like God, the American flag, and then guns and cigarettes. When you guys look back at that song, where you were when you wrote it, what comes to mind, and what feelings does that song spark in you now in 2020?
I mean, before I just ruin the question, Ant, do you want to say anything from your?
What I remember about that, because I think that was back when you would just write random lyrics and just bring them to the house, and we'd just find a beat that matches. So, you know, and we did.
Yeah,
that.
But what kind of song is this? Oh, this one's sarcastic. Oh, yeah, I got some stuff for that. Yeah,
play this thing. And so just hearing that, and I remember, you know, laughing a lot, and I remember that's what a lot of our songs were based on at that time, was, you know, just kind of trying to make each other laugh type shit. And that beat in particular, that song could have been on a million kinds of beats, but there's like a crowd in the beat, and it's a playful-ish beat, so that the lyrics don't sound too harsh. You know what I mean? So it's a little playful, because without that playful beat, maybe this song isn't taken as well, maybe. Or
the song kind of does this thing, and it's kind of like fun, and I think you're right. Those lyrics could have
one of
went
the only
over.
songs from back then we still kind of play live.
Yeah, we still do that one live.
Yeah.
And you know, I learned early on that you have to like kind of write your destiny. You have to, you know, you have to, it's not just for writing, it's just anything, you know, the thoughts you think, the energy that you present is going to come back to you. And at the time I was you know, fighting a really strong addiction to cigarettes and guns, and I needed to get away from both. That's a joke, sorry. I just wanted to have fun, man. Ant nailed it. I just want to make him laugh all the time, dude. Like, in fact, I've referenced that in songs. Like, if I can make Ant laugh, we're good. It's a song. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and so oftentimes the things that I think have characterized me, even I didn't even know at the time, I've been writing dad rap for so long because I've been busting dad jokes since I was 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been doing this forever. So it's that. And that's the kind of stuff that I would do with Anthony to try and tell these kind of corny jokes in these songs. Sometimes even the whole story would come to a punchline that was just a corny joke. You know what I'm saying? It's like, especially back then, because, you know, that was even kind of a shield for me to just kind of hide behind. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me just be funny. Let me be a clown. An extension of who I probably was as a kid. I was the kid in the back, you know, fucking beating the erasers to make somebody laugh or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and Murs, for you, dark skinned white girl. I thought that was the most brilliant song ever at that point in time.
You're brilliant because this guy, I think both of you guys are the reason that I made that song. We were talking about someone that he knew, and I don't know if he came with the word or I came up with the word. And I was like, that should be a Felt song. He's like, no, that should be a you song. And, we would use that term, dark skinned white girl. And I went to North Carolina to record Murray's Revenge with Ninth. And I said, yo, I got a song called Dark Skinned White Girl. He's like, do it to this beat. And that's Ninth's genius, because he could just, and I'm like, it's a joke, bro. Like, dark skin, don't you get it? Haha. Like you said, like making Ant laugh. I think it was something we laughed about on Felt too. And Ninth didn't laugh. And I was like, no, it's a joke, bro. Like, I hadn't written the song yet. I was like, it's a joke, man. Give me something silly girl. Like, this is like Trevor and them. Like, this is funny. Freak these tales. Like, come on, bro. He's like, no, that you gotta do it to this beat. And he was fucking right. And so I went home and wrote a serious ass song about experiences from women that I knew and just communicating, because I was just coming into being able to have girlfriends and shit. I was always friend zone guy for so many years. So I got a lot of experience from different women that I know, just giving the truth and their experience with men and how the world views them. And it's been received well over the years. But yeah, it started as a joke during Felt too.
The dichotomy of feeling out of place is what stuck with me, you know, because I grew up and I was never black enough, nor was I white enough, right? I grew up around white kids, but then I spoke proper. So the black kids looked at me differently. And then everything was okay after basketball. Once you're good at something, then everyone sort of meets you in the middle. But just the dichotomy of that, and the same thing with Guns and Cigarettes to me. Like, those two songs really tap into what I think is great about Felt music in general, Atmosphere and Murs music as well. I think that there's so much more room to be able to craft different types of sounds that are unquestionably hip hop. And I'm not sure if everybody looks at the space the same way, because let's say we take versus battles, for example, which I'm a big proponent of, but that is very much one very particular look at hip hop, right? I don't necessarily see people say, hey, I want to do a versus with, David Banner and De La Soul. You know, I think you could, maybe these are bad examples, but I think that we fall into a very narrow look at what hip hop is. And at this point now, I think it's broader than it was at one point in time. But you guys were hitting me at those right notes at a point in time when I feel like there was a consolidation that was happening in the space and we just didn't hear that many different sounds. And I commend you guys for that. It changed the way that I looked at the space quite a bit.
Thank you, sir.
thank you. I appreciate it. You know, maybe we should do a versus, Murs, you and me, right? And when we show up, we just play nothing but Felt songs. I'll play a Felt song and then you play a Felt song and we'll battle by picking different Felt songs. There's 4 albums to choose from. Like, we can get the whole verses. There's 30 songs. Like, and then we just get to sit around and crack jokes, playing our own shit.
You guys should do one. Have you reached out? Have you guys talked to him at all about trying to do a versus?
And you're the first person I've talked to in a long time, man.
Yeah. Well. So, being that you guys are in Minneapolis, I'm very curious on your take on the uprisings that started off in your hometown, and what have you guys seen? What's it like there now since the passing of the murder of George Floyd?
I mean, it's interesting, driving around the results of the uprising are going to be with us for a long time. And so it's always going to be visibly present. Whereas, the cause of the uprising is not something that's new. It's something that's been going on for a really long time. But after something like that happens, the visual presence starts to kind of dissipate again. And usually only one community continues to be upset about this for the long term. But right now, it's here for everybody to see, everybody. And it was an interesting thing too. This one felt different because of how many people came out and took part in this, and how many white people specifically came out and took part in this was really interesting. When it happened, I was like, man, is this just the Minneapolis thing because of what the makeup here is? And then when you started to see it happen other places and you started to see lots and lots of white people coming out, it was different, man. And not only that, but also seeing all the young people. Like, I've had homies say things that are jokes, but not where it's like, man, I gotta stop judging these kids in skinny jeans because they really came out and put it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, I get the joke, but really the truth is, it's just hard for you to admit that these kids are doing something that we didn't do. You know what I'm saying? But it's big and it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to see. And to be here when it was going on, I've never really had that experience before. Like, we had a few years ago, and people occupied outside of a precinct over on the north side, but it was winter, so it was kind of cold out, and there weren't so many people who had been galvanized to really show solidarity with this type of stuff yet. You know what I'm saying? So it was more like you would see the people that you normally saw who were getting busy, and it was spreading, it was becoming a thing. But man, just to see, obviously, people are still trying to figure out, for better or for worse, figure out why so many people came out this time. But to me, I don't know, man. I never seen nothing like that. But I'm from Minneapolis, I wasn't there for the LA riots. That was just on television for me. I didn't have there was no internet yet, really. You know what I mean? So it was just TV. It would be on the news for like a week, and then you'd also have talk shows reference it. And it was just a cultural thing. But there was more of it in rap for me than there was but whereas here, it was like not just on my phone constantly, but it was like, about 1.5 to 2 miles from where I'm sitting right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like ground zero where they burnt the precinct down. That felt new too. Like, I haven't really, I'm not the most Google's guy, but I've never heard of anybody burning down a precinct just in the movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like in the imagination, and so that was some new shit. I don't know, man. It's next level. Everything is new. Everything is next level right now, man. There's a lot of change occurring, and I don't want to go too far into the weeds, but there's a spiritual war going on right now, man. And whether or not you even think you're involved, you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are all part of this thing. Like, good versus evil is a huge thing right now. It's really here. It's really present. And I apologize for taking up so much time because nobody else said nothing. But I'm sorry. Hey, I like the sound of my own voice. That's why I do this. That's why I'm here. That's how I got here with you. You know what I'm saying? It's because I love the sound of my own voice. I love the fact that other people hate the sound of my voice. I love it all. Like,
you got to speak it into existence.
You got to speak it into existence.
You spoke it into existence, rather. Yeah, you raised an interesting question. What was the spark? I tend to think it was 40 million people unemployed. People had time. I think that was huge. I'm not sure if we have the same turnout as consistently if we don't have as many people who feel absent from the American dream.
Yeah.
But like, I think what, like for me, seeing it in a city that I've frequented over the past 2 decades, you know, living with Sean and recording albums and sleeping on his couch and hanging out with his kids. And I spent a lot of time in Minneapolis, probably more than any other city that I didn't have an address in. You know, we briefly touched on it, Sean, just like without hip hop in general, you know what I mean, would a Midwestern predominantly white city look like that? Like, I've been to Soundset, you've been to Soundset. Those crowds look like a crowd from Soundset or Rolling Loud. You know what I mean? Like, this is the culture. Like, these kids get together to party, and they'll get together to put a foot in the country's ass when it needs it. You know what I mean? And those, like, the multicultural, you know, I remember going to Flog Gnaw and seeing, like, you know, Brockhampton and kids jumping around, you know what I'm saying? And he's talking about, you know, Heath Ledger with some dreads. I just gave my nigga head, and seeing 20,000 kids, gay, straight, white, black, all say, I just gave my nigga head. Like, it was like, I was like, yo, these kids are on some different shit. You know what I mean? And to see them mobilize with the same unity for a cause. And there are people my age out there as well. You know what I mean? But I think even if it's my generation, what brought me and Sean together, you know, a kid from Minneapolis and a kid from LA, you know, is rap, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to discount at all the unemployment thing, but aside from that, I think rap has done a lot behind the scenes to weave this fabric together of what America really is. You know what I mean? The good, the bad, you'll hear it in rap. You know what I mean? The excess, like you said, the underground shit, the dark-skinned white girls, the in the clubs, the fuck the police. You'll hear all aspects of America in this music, and there's not another music like that. Mm-hmm. And then Drop the Bells, Pay Dues, Rolling Loud, Flog Gnaw, Soundset, us being able to come together and function in real life enables us in a time of need and in a time of, you know, in an emergency situation, we all know how to come together. We know where the fucking exits are now. Right. We know how to touch each other. We know how to come together. We're not scared that if I go out there and march, you know, I can only imagine what it was like in the civil rights movement. Like, you want to get out there if you're a white person, but you've never been around that many black people. This wasn't legally fucking allowed. You know what I mean? Your parents don't even let you listen to the Temptations. Now you want to go out and march, and there's fire hoses and there, you know what I mean? We didn't have that hurdle because the music, the culture of hip hop had brought us all together. Mm-hmm. So like, oh, yo, they fucking with our homies, like, we out here. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a thing. Yeah. And it's gonna be interesting to see, like you said, how this battle, this spiritual war, resolves itself.
I have a theory. I think that hip hop, there's a hip hop based theory based on these kind of things. I think now we can. Everybody's been home, sitting around by themselves, and all kinds of stuff's been changing in the world, whether it's COVID, whether it's, you know, uprisings in general. And people are angry, and now we can plot where anger is going to be in the future, right? We know election day after, that's anger, no matter who wins. Inauguration day, that's anger, no matter who wins. Whenever whatever happens with the police officers in Minnesota, there's anger, no matter what happens. You've got COVID that's still going to keep rocking for the next 6 months. Now, under my hypothesis, I think that we're going to find a lot of artists, especially in hip hop, who have to look inward for their music. And I think that you're going to see a lot less tropes, or an evolution of what's considered a trope that comes out of this. Because I don't see happiness, and I don't see people being able to galvanize the communities en masse coming back anytime soon. And I think about that in conjunction with some of the things that people thought were great about the Golden Era, for example. You know, how many different styles, because people were in different regions and they were having different influences. Everyone's still connected on the internet. But I think that we're set up now to have more introspective music more often going forward, given this environment. That's my hypothesis. Feel free to react to it.
No, I feel it. I think it's gonna happen.
Because the other side of that is kids, right? Kids are gonna be kids, right? So it doesn't necessarily, you know.
Oh, you reminded me. Ant, you have kids. Who do your kids? You fuck with a lot of artists. Who do your kids fuck with out of all the people you fuck with?
Well, just Sean mostly, you know. I mean, honestly, I don't really fuck with a whole lot of people. So, and they don't know a lot of my music really, you know. But the Felt record was playing a little bit. I played it in the car just to constantly check it out. So they start getting used to that a little bit, and whenever I'm working on, so I'm usually, when I listen to, you know what I mean, in the car, I might listen to whatever I'm in the middle of working on, kind of. So I don't know, they're kind of whatever, you know. They're still so young, you know, 5 and 2.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Those aren't the kids you were talking about, Justin.
That wasn't.
Yeah.
No. I was talking about kids with disposable income.
Oh yeah. I think they're still gonna have room to turn up somehow, some way.
They'll find a way.
Yeah.
I think that as far as, you know, if I'm interpreting your question correctly, you're talking about some sort of you brought up the golden era, and you brought it up as far as vibe-wise, as far as during the golden era, the way music was being gone for, the way it was an energy thing, and even, you know, I don't want, like, there was regional going on, and I feel like that hasn't really fully gone away. Like, I feel like that there's been even though we don't think that a lot of these new people were super influenced by like Big Daddy Kane, I feel like as far as the regional, as far as are you in the know about this? Like, do you know, I feel like that type of thing has always still kind of been present. It's just that the sounds have always evolved. And so we're not always really able to see the connection between the golden era through today. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, but when I really look at who these people want to listen to and who they feel and the energy that they're looking for, I still see it. I still see that same kind of vibe that when I was like, yo, Juice Crew somebody from Juice Crew just put out a song, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still see that. It's just that I see it in like drill. I see it in the drill music. I see it more in like actual music that's speaking for the voiceless. You know, you got to remember that a lot of rap has kind of gone a lot of different ways, you know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like, not all of it is necessarily voice for the voiceless. Now it's you know, there's a lot of this, we get to kick it, and that was always present, that was always there. But even when that was there, the dude rapping was still, you know, I'm close to the edge, I'm trying not to lose my head, you know what I mean? It's like, now you have we're able to celebrate, we're able to really celebrate, we're able to think, we're able to read, we're able to, you know, play sports, we can do all this with this music now. And it's no longer just this small pocket of people. So with that said, though, I still see it, man. I still see, especially like in more southern rap, I guess, I still see that connection between, you know, I remember, and this is crazy because this is gonna date me, and this really, but I just remember the first time No Limit broke off. At that point, I'd already thought the golden era was gone. That's how old I am. By the time No Limit happened, I already thought the golden era was over. But when I seen the energy that they came with and the way people in my city were like all about that, I was like, man, that is me when the second BDP record dropped. Only y'all get to do it every week because No Limit's dropping a record every week. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but that energy was the same, you know what I mean? And I've been able to see that energy in every era, every 2 years, every 5 years, wherever we go, I still see it. It's just not always in my genre as often anymore, or it doesn't always raise its head. But I saw when Mac Miller happened, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still saw the way the people reacted to that and what they were actually connecting to and reacting to, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's here, man. It's just like, now you just gotta squint and really, you know, you got to really, I don't know how to say that, because I know I'm talking to somebody that knows, you know everything that I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like
I would like to, if I could, I would like to backtrack to when you asked me the question, Murs, and I have to apologize that I had no idea what you were talking about, and I just thought you were talking about my kids.
No, I was. I wanted.
Okay.
I remember it because I wanted to specifically know who your kids fuck with.
Oh, okay, got you. All right. I was like, man, I think I blanked out for like the last 10 minutes. So I was just thinking about some other shit. Thinking about dinner.
It's a great basement you got.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love it down here. Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
This is everything. This is my dream.
But I like Justin with the golden era. I feel like what has disappeared from the golden era is like I reconnected with Kwame, like because he's on IG Live now DJing, and like we see each other at Comic-Con. He did a couple records for Murs for President that didn't make the album, but it reminded me when I was hanging out with him. He told me a story about how he toured with Digital Underground, X-Clan, NWA, and like Salt and Pepper. It was like the dancey dudes, the conscious dudes, the gangster dudes, all on one bus. And like the stories he told me about them, like pretending to be Ren and Easy so that Ren and Easy could get out through the crowd when the police told them not to do fuck the police. And I'm like, yo, you guys all like, and I saw it kind of like when I got excited when Tyler and ASAP started fucking with each other. And like when Schoolboy Q and Mac Miller started fucking with each other, because to me, that's the part of the golden era. And I think like even, I'm not a huge Beyonce fan, you know what I mean? But I watch Black is King because I'm a huge Disney fan. And like her incorporating all the African artists and Tierra Whack, and like, I think it's coming back where hopefully, you know, because like before, Jay would shout out Kweli and blah, blah, blah. And you know, he knew who they were, but they didn't get a feature on the Black album, you know what I mean? Like, and neither did they back in the day, you know what I mean? But just like things like Soundset and like getting a ASAP and Tyler tour where, because and especially now with the phones, you know, stream, like you listen to a whole bunch of stuff. And I think hopefully that part of the golden era comes out of this, you know, everyone's sitting at home. When we get back out, it'll be a more, that's what I miss most about the golden era, when just, you could listen to Murs and E40 and it's not weird. It's all hip hop, you know what I mean? It's just different moods. And yeah, we'll see.
I have this is my final question. I appreciate you guys' time, man. I know you know, we went over about 15 minutes here, but with it's a question I'd ask anyone with perspective, and there's tons of it on this call. With everything that you guys have experienced, what still surprises you about hip hop?
Oh man, there's lots of things, you know, but a lot of it's like more, it's personalized. It only surprises me. Like, it's not a thing that would be like, but you know.
Oh, you froze.
It looks like you froze.
Right in thought too. Right in mid thought.
I'm gonna screenshot that. That is a meme if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, right in mid thought.
That's a meme.
Oh man.
Do one of you guys want to go wait for Cheddar to come back in?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait a sec.
Yeah. I'll take that
Okay.
one too.
Man, I was saying some genius shit too, but I don't remember what it was. I guess if I'm surprised by anything, I'm probably just surprised that I still have a job, because when I was young, looking at this from the outside, this didn't happen. You didn't get to do this for 20 years. I mean, nobody had done that yet in my head. I didn't, you know, I didn't know of anybody who had done that, but I just didn't think you could do that. Like, how are you going to be almost 50 years old and rapping? You know, and now when I look around and I see that there's a space for older people to still do this, why wouldn't there be? Because there's a space for older people who grew up on this and love this and listen to this, and their kids listen to this. And it's like Neil Young still has a fucking job. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so why wouldn't this have happened? It's just that nobody had ever shown me that it could happen. You know what I'm saying? And so I guess I'm not even surprised by that. Nah, man, nothing.
I mean, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but I think I stopped being surprised after 50 Cent. I didn't think anyone with that name, no matter how good they were, could sell millions of records. And I was like, you know, so like there's been amazing shit that's happened, you know what I mean? Like Tekashi being an informant, coming out and still being relevant is crazy to me. Like but hip hop stopped surprising me. You know what I mean? Like E40 has a liquor business. Like Snoop is Snoop still, you know what I mean? Like there's verses I've had my mind blown so much, but I guess to bring it back to a real point as a father and also mentoring a lot of young rappers now with like programs that I have, is these kids dying, man. I never thought hip hop would be the genre, and it touches this call personally too, where people OD. You know what I mean? Like Tupac getting shot, unfortunately for me, that's part of the game. You know what I mean? Like Biggie, you know what I mean? Like gun violence is nothing new to the black community, unfortunately. But black, white, just hip hop, us having people OD, it makes me sad, man. You know what I mean? Like when people are doing these murals now, and sometimes I don't recognize a face, and I'm like, oh, that's the little whoever. Oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but Lil Peep is someone I just got into. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an old man. I was going through a divorce. What do I have in common with this 20-year-old white kid making goth, emo, hip hop, whatever? But I felt it. I was like, oh, I'm going to a show. Like, you know what I mean? I called my other 40-year-old friend that's in the young people music. I'm like, we're going. You know, when he gets to town, you know, the kids got sick and we couldn't go. And then he died the next day. And I'm like, yo, I thought I was going to catch this kid on his 4th album. Like, I'm a fan. But I can only imagine if that's your Tupac or if that's your, you know what I mean? Like, I know what these kids are going through. But when Tupac died, it was something that I could relate to. I had lost homies to gun violence, you know, by that point. I had been around it, you know what I mean? But I don't know what a drug problem is, you know what I mean? And I don't, it's just scary to me, man. And I feel bad. Like I was on tour when Juice WRLD died with a younger artist that was opening up for us, and he was crushed. And I had just got into Juice WRLD, so and he was playing him on the tour, and it was just like, man. And it just keeps happening. And it's a dark surprise, you know? Like I thought that was, you know, not to shit on you, but I thought that's some fucking rock and roll shit, man. You know? That's not us. So I hope we can come together as a community and heal and among the other list of shit we're working on, just add that to the list of things we need to work on.
Word up.
Yeah. It's real.
Man, that's a great way to end it.
Yep.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys so much, man. Congratulations on the release. And I'm gonna keep rocking it the rest of the week.
Thank you for taking the time, man. Thank you for giving us an excuse to hang out and talk to each other, man.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Anytime, man. Love you, bro. I'll talk to you later.
Peace, man.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
All right, Justin, son.
Peace.